Guys, I just shared this talk with a group at a national conference in San Diego. I wanted to share it with you. So it is the three-step process that I used, both as a police officer as well as now in real estate. As a police officer, it helped me to arrest a huge number of people, typically 3 times my next closest officer on the squad. Now, the department I worked for was 550 sworn officers. And so to be the very top, with the next closest being about a third of my numbers, that was significant. Now, I took that exact same system out of policing and into real estate, and it has helped me sell hundreds of millions of dollars in real estate. So I wanted to share it with you. So when I was a cop, I realized that between the hours of 12 a.m. and 3 a.m., because I worked overnight, statistically 1 in 3 drivers was drunk or high. That was just the statistic at the time. So I recognized that if my goal was to find one, maybe unwilling participant for free room and board in the county's adult detention center, find one participant every single day that I was on shift, what I needed to do was pretty simple. If I made 10 traffic stops during that 3-hour window, 12 a.m. to 3 a.m., statistically 1 in 3 drivers was drunk or high. And so if I made 10 stops, statistically 3 of them should be drunk or high. And so I didn't even have to be good at what I did to achieve my goal of 1 arrest every single night. All I needed to do was be 1/3 good, because statistically I'm talking to 3 of them, should be able to find 1 of them and take that unwilling participant to jail. So when I came then to real estate, I took the exact same system, right? I learned what my odds were. That was step 1 of this 3-step process. I learned what the odds were. And when we talk about sales leads, using pay-per-click leads as an example, if you run pay-per-click campaigns, there was actually a study that was done on pay-per-click. And what they found was they took 200 pay-per-click leads, followed them for 2 years, and these were the results. 50% of them had no desire to buy or sell. Who knows why they ever signed up, why they became a sales lead, but 50% had no desire to buy or sell a house. 40% were folks that reached out and they had a desire. They wanted to buy or sell, but they had no means, right? So they maybe had no money, couldn't buy a house, credit score was too low, maybe they wanted to sell a house but were underwater. But in any event, had a stated desire but no means. That left 10%. Of that 10%, 7.5 are what we call conditional. So these are the folks that have a stated desire and a means. These are the most dangerous sales leads that we'll encounter in real estate, because we see those 2 points are in play, desire and ability, and we will chase our tail and chase our tail and chase our tail with these folks, because there's this perpetual belief that there's a commission there that we could earn, when in fact we can't, because they're conditional. They are willing to buy a house and have the means to do so if you can find them a house $100,000 under market value, right? Or they're willing to sell their house if you can get 20% more than their house is worth, right? So these are conditional. Not to say that they won't move into the latter category, which is the golden 2.5%. Now, the golden 2.5% are folks that have the means, they have the desire, and they have a specific need to make this happen. So maybe they got divorced, maybe they got married, maybe all the kids moved out, maybe they have a new kid, right? And so this is causing a change in life that makes them need a new living situation. And so those are the folks that are the most likely to buy or sell a house. Now, the cool thing about this is when they worked this study, what they found out was this is the exact same breakdown as the general public. The general public breaks down the same way: 50%, 40%, 7.5, 2.5. And so the learning lesson here was, even if you don't have the money to go buy Google pay-per-click leads, you can simply go to the grocery store, not recommending that as a lead pillar, but you could go to the grocery store, talk to 100 people, and statistically 2.5 of them have to buy or sell. So that's number 1, is understand what your odds are. Step number 2 then is execute to those odds, whatever they are. So in policing, I knew that, statistically 1 in 3 drivers is drunk or high. I needed to stop 10 in order to conceivably make 1 arrest. And so my goal was to make 1 arrest every single night. And so my goal was 10 stops every night. In real estate then, If it's 2.5% out of every 100, again, you don't even have to be great at what you do, but if you're only 50% good, you make your home sale or you help somebody buy or sell a home. Then the question is how often do you want to hit those 100 contacts? You know, you could do 100 every month, 100 every week. You know, if you can do 100 every day, you're better than me, but you know, that's an option, right? So whatever your odds are, execute to those odds. And the third step then is make sure you have your scripts and dialogues down. Now, when I was a cop, many times the folks I was coming into contact with, this was not their first rodeo. They were frequent customers. And so, you know, they weren't necessarily wanting to go back to jail. So my scripts and objection handlers, right, really had to be on point. They had to be honed in really well. In real estate, it's the same but different, right? I mean, these are at least hopefully willing participants. They want to buy or sell a house. But you still need scripts and dialogues dialed in so that when they say things like, geez, the interest rates are just really high right now, right? They're not saying that they don't want to buy. They're saying, hey, I want to buy a house, but the interest rates are really high. And so to have an easy solution for them, or maybe a shift in mindset, right? That you're saying, hey, I can solve the interest rate problem, or I have a different way of looking at this that makes maybe a higher priority in your mind than what the interest rates are. Those are the two ways that you get through that. And I'll tell you, the second half of that, you know, the third step of this process, the scripts and dialogues part, this you can only do through practice. So you're either going to spend that time practicing on, you know, real life people, or you can spend time practicing with mentors, team members, you know, your broker, whomever. So guys, that's the 3-step process. And so it's, you know, identify your odds, execute to your odds, and then when you actually come in contact with the right person, your target audience, make sure you have the skill set there and the right things to say to lead them down the path that you're hoping to go down. So guys, if ever you have questions, never hesitate to reach out. I appreciate it and always willing to help.